The night over Seattle had a peculiar weight. From high above, from the mirrored penthouse of Gray Enterprises, Christian looked down on the city as if it were his own, because it was, at least enough to make him feel above the chaos, above ordinary fears, above doubt. And yet, that night, there was a restlessness he couldn't name. The room was enveloped in a glassy silence, thick, translucent, fragile. Behind him, a single light on the conference table cast long shadows on the walls. No music, no company, just him. The glass with a single intact malt and the soft aroma of jasmine that shouldn't be there. There were no flowers on that floor. No perfume was open, and yet, he felt it. It had been haunting him for weeks, ever since he had decided to relaunch the company's exclusive line of fragrances. A personal, almost intimate project. Something no one around him seemed to understand, nor did they need to. For Christian, perfumes were liquid memory. Smells contained the past, sometimes the future. But the scent that invaded his senses that night was something he didn't remember forgetting, and it bothered him deeply. That's when Rose knocked on the door, polite as always, efficient as always. "Mr. Gray, I've found someone, a French perfumer, independent. She works with archaic techniques and experimental compositions. I thought I should see her." He turned around slowly, his eyebrows slightly arched. "Name, Amara Deschamps." He was silent for a second, savoring the name as if it were an olfactory note. "Make an appointment for tomorrow night." Rose hesitated. "Sir, she only sees clients in person at midnight. She said that's when the ingredients tell the truth." Christian smirked. Then tomorrow at midnight. And so the game began. The clock read 11:58 p.m. when the private elevator brought Amara to the 52nd floor. The doors opened with a metallic whisper, and she stepped inside as if this place had been hers forever. She wore black. Everything about her was black except her eyes, a dark amber, almost liquid, and the glass necklace around her neck with an amber liquid inside. "Monsieur Gray." The voice was low, whispered, with a French accent. "I have brought what you are looking for." Christian watched her for long seconds. She was beautiful, but in a hypnotic way, as if there was no set time between one blink and the next. She removed the necklace from around her neck, opened a small vial, and handed it to him. "Inhale." Slowly. He didn't hesitate. He raised the bottle to his nostril and inhaled, and time broke. The smell was jasmine, but not like commercial perfumes. It was real jasmine, wet with night dew, picked by hand, stained with something else. There was a thick note, almost metallic. Blood? No. But also no, it wasn't absence. Christian felt his spine tingle. His eyes widened. His skin seemed to heat. A flash. An image. A woman in an ancient bed, the sheets stained red, the scent of jasmine permeating the walls. He staggered. "What is that?" Amara just smiled, mysterious. "It's you. It's your memory. I just revealed it." He frowned. "I've never experienced this." She approached slowly, almost brushing her lips against his, as she said, "He is sure." The next day, Christian summoned Rose and ordered a dedicated lab to be set up on the 37th floor. Only Amara would have access. No cameras, no records, no protocol. Rose tried to question, but the answer was cold and direct. "This woman knows what she's doing, and I want to know what else she can do." In the days that followed, the aroma spread, first through the hallways, then through dreams. Employees reported restlessness, vivid dreams about people they had never met, lovers who did not exist, desires that were not theirs. And Christian, he started seeing Amara even when she wasn't there. And when night fell, the scent would return to visit him, always with a new sensation. familiar, painful, and more real. The lab on the 37th floor didn't look like Gray Enterprises. Amara had requested that it be paneled entirely in dark wood and thick curtains, like an old alchemy studio. Antique vials, glass pipettes, rare essences imported from northern India, southern France, Indonesia. The only light came from amber lampshades, and the scent in the air was constant, an invisible field that seemed to envelop the skin of anyone who entered. Amara worked in silence, always at night, always alone. Christian, no matter how much he demanded control of himself, couldn't help himself. He went down to the laboratory almost every morning. He stayed outside, watching through the frosted glass that only allowed silhouettes. She danced among the vials. She mixed, tested, tasted, and sometimes she murmured things that he couldn't hear. On the third night, he couldn't take it anymore. He entered without warning. The smell was denser inside, almost suffocating, almost aphrodisiac. Amara was not startled by the sudden entrance. "You shouldn't be here," he said without turning around, slowly stirring a dark wine-colored liquid. "It's my laboratory." She turned around slowly. She was barefoot. She wore a light black dress, which rippled with the subtle movement of the air. Even so, here, the rules are different. Christian stepped closer. He stopped inches away from her. "You are hiding something from me." She picked up a new vial, a small one made of cut glass. "This is the next stage, but only you can use it." She took off the cap. The smell was stronger. Inhaling, it was like walking through a curtain of hot, humid steam. Her senses trembled. Again, images. A naked body in a room of mirrors. Someone tied up. Muffled moans. A whispered name. Evelyn. Christian pulled away, panting. "Who's Evelyn?" Amara watched him with deep, fixed eyes. "You have to remember on your own. I don't bring answers. I just unlock. You speak as if I had erased an entire life." "Maybe it does." She approached, very slowly. She touched his chest, over his thin cotton dress shirt. "Maybe you did this to survive." And then he kissed him. It wasn't a kiss of passion, or of desire. It was a kiss of opening, as if, with that gesture, she had stripped him of an entire layer of control. He gave himself up. There, in that stuffy laboratory, Christian Grey stripped himself, not just of his clothes, but of his certainties. She led him, naked, across the wooden floor, among bottles and musks, as if they had done this before. Their bodies recognized each other. The touch was fierce and silent. She moaned as if her soul were being called back to her body. And when he finally fell asleep on the floor beside her, wrapped in sweat and the scent of jasmine, she whispered in his ear, "Now you will never sleep alone again." The next morning, he woke up alone in the lab. The door was locked from the inside. She was gone. On the table, a new bottle, and next to it, a paper with slanted handwriting, with each scent a layer, with each layer a memory. And when you remember everything, it will no longer be the same. Christian read it as if it were a prophecy, because I knew deep down that it was. Christian spent the whole day with the new bottle in his hands. The liquid was a deep red, almost wine-like, with golden flecks floating around like a restless secret. The glass was heavy, cut like ancient crystal, but it was the smell that haunted him, even with the lid closed. It was as if the scent had soaked into her skin, or her memory. During meetings, he found himself distracted. His throat tightened, and his heart raced at the slightest thought of Amara, or Evelyn, or whatever those images were. He tried to rationalize it. He tried to see it as a chemical manipulation, a sensory strategy. But deep down, he knew there was more to it than just aroma. It was evocation. That night, alone in his penthouse, he broke his own security rule. He closed the windows. He turned off all the lights. He left only the amber lamp on, and he opened the bottle. Just a drop. He placed it on his wrist. He rubbed it slowly. He inhaled. The world went dark. Christian was standing in a long hallway, mirrored walls, burgundy velvet curtains, and a muffled sound moaning. He walked barefoot toward the end of the hallway. Each step echoed like a heartbeat. The closer he got, the more the smell of jasmine and iron filled the air. The door eventually opened by itself. Inside, a naked woman lay on an antique bed. Her wrists were bound with red satin ribbons. The white sheets were stained. She was smiling. She was crying. It was Amara. No, it was Evelyn. She looked at him directly. You left me here. You made me forget. And now you want to remember? He tried to speak, but he couldn't. He woke up with a scream. It was on the living room floor. The bottle was still in his hand, leaking, but the smell wasn't the same anymore. Now it was stronger. Now it was all over the coverage. The next day he called Rose. He ordered the entire building to be swept clean for any reference to the name Evelyn. Employee, customer, supplier, anything. Rose hesitated. With all due respect, sir, that name doesn't appear in any records. Not in backups. Not even in hidden files. Christian didn't answer. He just walked over to his personal system, an encrypted network that only he had access to. One that stored all the data he would never trust to anyone else. Typed Evelyn. Nothing. Typed Jasmine. Various results. Formulas. Imports. Lab notes. One of them caught my attention. Project 47. Strange code name. Only one video associated. He clicked. The image was blurry. Low resolution, but sharp enough. A room lined with mirrors. A woman kneeling in the center, wearing only an amber necklace. She looked at the camera. She smiled. For you, Christian. Always for you. Even when you forget. Even when you say you never knew me. He pressed pause. I could feel the blood leaving my face. Enlarged the image. Yes, it was her. Amara. Evelyn. Or both. That night, he went down to the laboratory. It was locked. He punched in the emergency codes. Nothing. He kicked the door. No answer. That's when he heard the voice, low, behind the glass. You don't break a perfume before it matures. Christian. He stood still. The glass showed only his own silhouette, but the voice was there. Why are you doing this to me? He asked. Because you asked me to. Because you need to remember who you are. To know who you want to be. Evelyn. Perhaps. Silence. Did you kill me? You forgot me. The door opened by itself. The laboratory was empty, but the scent was everywhere. Christian didn't sleep that night. In fact, he could no longer tell when he was awake or dreaming. Memories came like night waves, intense, what with a past that seemed more real than the cold numbers that filled his daytime life. But the name Archive 47 persisted like a fissure. Gray Enterprises' secret servers, files even Rose hadn't known existed. Legacy code, old blueprints buried beneath layers of encryption. And then there it was. /admin/experiments/emotional mapping /project 47. It was an archive project. Technical name, Deep Sensory Association Experiment through Olfactory Effective Bonding. The person responsible? Evelyn Deschamps. He froze. The surname? Deschamps. Amara? Read the project summary. The goal of Project 47 is to create a scent capable of activating specific emotional circuits of effective memory. The formula, if applied frequently, can reconstitute dormant emotional patterns, including repressed traumas, forgotten relationships, and even suppressed identity traits. Human trials underway. Primary participant, CG. Christian Grey. The screen seemed to zoom out. His heart pounded in his throat. He clicked the attached media button. A video. Date, November 12th, 2007. The recording was in black and white. The laboratory was more rustic, less technological. In the center, Evelyn, younger, but with the same mysterious look. Sitting in front of the camera, she smiled. She was wearing a dark silk robe. If you're seeing this, Christian, it's because it worked. She took a deep breath. The sound was clear, almost intimate. You were always afraid of losing control. You always believed you could erase what hurt you. But the perfume never forgets. She leaned closer to the lens. You loved me. You owned me. You destroyed me. But even so, I left you a way out. A memory. A vial. I split myself into molecules. And now, I'm coming back. Christian paused the video. The hands were shaking. It wasn't possible. He looked at the name of the project's creator, Amara Deschamps, and he remembered the first time Amara had said his full name. Amara Deschamps. Deschamps. Evelyn and Amara. The same initials. The same words. The same voice. He pressed play again. The formula is incomplete. The last essence is with you. It will only be activated when you choose to remember. And when you remember, you will have to decide. She laughed, lightly, almost painfully. Save me, or let me die forever. The video ended with a frozen image of Evelyn touching her own neck, where an amber necklace glowed like blood under glass. Christian closed his notebook. His mouth was dry. His ideas were jumbled. The penthouse bell rang. He knew who it was. When he opened the door, she was there. Love, or Evelyn, or both. She wore the same black dress, the same necklace. You saw it, didn't you? He nodded silently. So you know. Christian stepped away, making space. She entered, with the tranquility of someone returning to the place where she always belonged. Only 2 bottles left. He looked at her with a mixture of fascination and horror. Are you real? She stared at him for long seconds. Are you ready to know? Silence. She took a vial from her coat pocket. Amber in color, lighter than the previous ones. This one will show you what you did. She placed a vial on the table, and the next one will let you choose. Christian was left alone with the bottle. I knew that once I opened it, there would be no going back. The aroma of truth was before him, and the truth, at that moment, seemed more dangerous than any lie. The vial on the table seemed to pulse. Christian stared at him for almost an hour. At that point, he no longer knew what was reality, a hallucination, or a construct induced by Amara, or Evelyn, or whoever she was. The aroma that emanated from it, even when closed, was distinct. It wasn't just jasmine. There was something earthy, decomposed, like damp wood and old paper. He closed his eyes. He touched the lid with his fingers, and it opened. This time, there were no fragmented images. What came was an entire memory. He was in a car. It was raining. The road was narrow, surrounded by dense trees. His hand was tightly gripping the steering wheel. Beside him, in the passenger seat, a woman was sleeping. Brown hair spread over her shoulders, fair skin, serene expression. Evelyn. The car stopped in front of an iron gate. A barely legible sign. Chateau La Rouge. The red house. Christian followed her inside. The house was large and old, with colonial furniture, French tapestries, and the smell of burning incense. Inside, nothing seemed modern, not even electrical. Everything was powered by candles, wood, and perfume. They lived there for days, maybe weeks, isolated, as if they had escaped from the world. And in that time, Evelyn created fragrances in silence. She tested scents, wrote notes, and made notes in red-covered journals. Christian observed. touched, loved, and commanded. And there were mirrors, lots of them, in every room. She said, "I want you to see who you are when you feel." The night everything fell apart, Evelyn emerged wearing only a satin mask and the amber necklace. She said she had finished the final formula, and now she wanted him to feel it. He hesitated. He said this was going too far, that she was obsessed, that she needed to go back. She begged. He screamed. He pushed her. She fell. The head hit the corner of the fireplace. Blood. Very. Christian ran to her, trying to stop her, but she was smiling. "You won't remember. You won't be able to remember." She touched her own necklace, and he whispered, "But I will return in jasmine." Christian opened his eyes. The bottle lay empty in his hand. He was on the living room floor. His breathing was ragged, his chest heaving as if he had run miles. He was in shock, in denial, but the memory was too clear to be a lie. Hours later, Rose entered her penthouse. Mr. Gray. He was standing in front of the window, shirt open, gaze lost. "Rose, locate a property for me in the south of France. Chateau La Rouge. Old, possibly registered in the 2000s. I need everything. Immediately." Rose found the request strange, but nodded. 3 hours later, call. "Sir, the property exists. It has been abandoned since 2007. It was acquired by a subsidiary of yours that went bankrupt shortly thereafter. There are records of your entry into the country at that time, but no details about your stay." Christian hung up without saying anything. The private jet left that night. Arriving at the Red House was like walking into one's own mind. Vegetation had taken over part of the entrance. The wood creaked with every step, but the furniture was there, intact, untouched. On the upper floor, the master bedroom, aged sheets, mirrors covered with cloths, and above the fireplace, a painting. Evelyn, portrayed in oil. The same necklace, the same subtle smile. He removed the painting from a wall. Behind him, a hidden compartment. Inside, a red box with a lock. He broke in. Inside, dozens of pages of notes. Evelyn's diaries, formulas, confessions, and one last letter, carefully folded. "Christian, if you're reading this, it's because you allowed yourself to remember. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted you to feel me the way I felt you. Every drop, every memory, every pain. Now the choice is yours. You can complete the formula and immortalize us, or you can destroy it and forget me forever. Choose with your heart, not with your control." The letter still smelled of jasmine and dried blood. Christian stood there, kneeling on the floor with the letter in his hands. I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't know if I could do it. The jet landed in Seattle just before 3 a.m. Christian hadn't slept on the flight. He spent the flight rereading Evelyn's notebooks. Her notes were obsessive, almost delirious, but within each line there was an emotional logic. She didn't just want to create a perfume. She wanted to immortalize a memory, create a way to live forever in someone. He knew what needed to be done. But first, I needed to face Amara. The laboratory on the 37th floor was dark when he arrived. Still, she waited for him, sitting on the central bench, barefoot, wearing her usual black dress, as if she had never been away. "So you saw the house," she said, without him saying anything. "I saw everything." She looked at him with regret. "Do you feel guilty?" "I don't know if I can call it guilt. It's like a part of me has been suffocating for years, and now it's trying to get out." Amara stood up. "The formula is almost complete." She came closer. She touched the necklace around her neck, the same one Evelyn wore in the video. "Do you still think I'm her? You have her face, her voice, her smell, her eyes, but you are colder, more calculated. She smiled. Or maybe that's just what's left of her in you. Christian was silent. She took off the necklace and handed it to him. Inside, the final liquid, dark amber with small red sparkles. This is the last essence. The part of your olfactory DNA. The visceral memory. That which Evelyn could not create on her own. You must complete it. And then you choose. What do I choose? She moved even closer. So close that her eyelashes touched his. If you want to live with the truth, or destroy it. She took a step back. If you choose to forget, I disappear. The formula is lost. Evelyn dies. Forever. If you choose to complete it, she lives. Here. She pointed to her head, then to her heart. And here. Christian closed his eyes. Evelyn's words in the letter echoed. Choose with your heart, not with your controller. He held the necklace as if he were holding a life. Hours later, in his penthouse, Christian stood alone in front of the white marble counter. On it, all the bottles were lined up. From the first, the initial jasmine scent, to the last. His hands were shaking. He mixed it drop by drop, in reverse order. The colors merged like a liquid eclipse. When it was finished, the new perfume seemed to vibrate, translucent and obscure at the same time. He opened the bottle. He inhaled, and then it fell. When he opened his eyes, he was in a white corridor, endless. Evelyn was on the other side. He was dressed in white. He was smiling, but his eyes were wet. You came. Christian walked up to her. Why did you do this to me? Because you loved me too much, and then you tried to erase me. I was getting lost. And that's why you lost me too. Silence. She touched him on the chest. But now you can choose. What if I want to keep you alive? She looked down. Then you'll have to carry it all. The love, the pain, the memory, and the weight of knowing that you let me die. What if I forget? You will be free, but empty. He took a deep breath. What's the right choice? She looked at him, sweetly. The one that hurts the most usually is. Christian hugged her, and when he did, everything dissolved. He woke up hours later. He was in his bed. The bottle was beside him, sealed. Evelyn's necklace around her neck. He had decided. The days that followed were strangely silent. Rose noticed a change. So did the executives. Christian Grey, who had always been rigid, direct, obsessively controlled, now seemed more contained, as if he were waiting for something, as if at any moment something inside him might explode or disappear. He no longer attended meetings. He would turn off his cell phone for hours at a time. He would sit in silence, staring out at the city from the rooftop, while the full bottle sat on his desk. The perfume was ready. It was the fusion of all memories. Every drop of desire, guilt, passion, oblivion, and loss. And even without opening it again, the bottle seemed to pulse with a life of its own. It was the last one, and with it would come the last choice. On the night of the full moon, Christian wrote a note. It was not a farewell letter, nor a will. It was a confession without an addressee. I have always been the master of my decisions. But today, I realize that true power is not in controlling, but in feeling. Evelyn, you are in me, and I choose to carry you. He folded the paper and put it inside an old edition of Baudelaire, which Evelyn used to read. Then he dressed simply, white shirt, dark pants. And he went down to the laboratory. Amara was there, sitting on the same bench, as always. But there was something different about his face. Relief, or sadness. You have decided. Christian nodded. She reached out her hand. He handed her the bottle. She held it reverently. Are you sure? I've never been so sure. She opened the bottle. The scent spread like an invisible mist. It wasn't intrusive. It was comforting, like an ancient presence finally finding rest. Christian inhaled deeply. His body trembled, not with fear, but with recognition. Inside him, memories came flooding back. Not just flashes, but dialogues, laughter, moments. Evelyn's fingers touching the back of his neck, the sound of her voice singing in French, the taste of her skin mixed with her homemade perfume. He felt everything, all at once, and it hurt, but it was real. Amara came closer and rested her forehead against his. Now she's in you, all of you. And you, she smiled. I was just a path. Now you are the memory. Amara stepped back. He took a step back, then two, and slowly disappeared into the shadows. The next morning, employees found the laboratory door open. Inside, the empty bottle. No sign of Amara, just a small envelope on the counter, with a wax seal in the shape of a jasmine. Inside, a new formula, and a handwritten name, Blood and Jasmine. The new perfume was launched discreetly. No campaign, no signature, no press release. Just a new fragrance on the top shelf of an exclusive Paris boutique. Weeks later, the bottle was unlike any other. A piece of hand-blown crystal with a single white jasmine flower suspended within the amber liquid. Name, Blood and Jasmine. Manufacturer, unknown. Still, the bottles disappeared from the shelves within days. And with them, the reports began. A young woman in Milan said she dreamed of a woman who taught her to love without fear. A man in Tokyo says he remembered his first crush, one he swore he had forgotten. In New York, a woman who had never been married woke up certain that she had experienced a great love. She smelled perfume on her pillow. No one could explain it. Only one constant. Everyone had used Blood and Jasmine. Gray Enterprises headquarters, the laboratory on the 37th floor, has been sealed. Christian Grey began to work with more intensity, but also with more serenity. The employees noticed there was something new in his presence, as if his power had changed form. One day, Rose found a jar on her desk, empty. Next to it, a note in firm handwriting. Some feelings don't fade away. Others transform, but the strongest ones evaporate and spread, just like perfume, just like her. Rose didn't fully understand, but she kept the note carefully. Amara Deschamps was never mentioned again at the company. Evelyn Deschamps was never registered as an employee. The laboratory remained closed. And the perfume? It continued to circulate in silence, like a whisper among those who dared to feel. One night, Christian woke up with a start. The dark room, the windows half open, and in the air, the perfume. Not on the pillow, not on the clothes, in the soul. He felt her presence, and he was not afraid. "Good night, Evelyn," he whispered, in the mirror in front of the bed. His reflection flickered with a slight delay, and for a second, the eyes he saw weren't his own, but hers.